Welcome back to Scouching's 2019 NHL Draft Recap Series. Today we're going to be looking at the Washington Capitals. Now, the Capitals were certainly not very busy, but they did have a few picks in the first couple of rounds of the draft, and that's pretty interesting to see. I really like the fact that at 25 they swung on Connor McMichael. Now, he was drafted a bit higher than some people had him, but I really think this is a good slot for him. Even when you consider some of the names that were slipping out of the first round, I think Connor McMichael plays a really nice, projectable NHL-style center game. There were some shifts where he absolutely took some shifts off, especially in his own end, and that's going to need to be fixed. But when he was on, he was really on. He led the London Knights in scoring this season, and he earned it. He gets to the net, he can get his shot off, he's a dangerous playmaker at the same time. I tracked him and made a video on him for a reason. He really stuck out in a number of different metrics for me, and I think he's one of the more underrated picks of the first round. He might not be that first-line center that the Washington Capitals might want to replace a Nicholas Backstrom with one day, but he certainly could slot in as at the very least a good third liner one day who can contribute offensively, and even if he ends up just being a winger, there's enough offensive tools there to really like moving forward. At 56, they went with a bit of a lower ceiling, high floor player in Brett Leason. Now, this to me was a little bit of a reach because of just how much he dropped off as the season went on after the World Juniors, but Leason is certainly no slouch. He had a very good playoff for the Prince Albert Raiders and played a very important role for them at the Memorial Cup this year. I think he's a pretty decent bet to be an NHL contributor sooner rather than later, but I don't really see a super high ceiling with him. When I saw him play, he struck me as a guy who just kind of got it, wins a lot of puck battles, pretty solid offensive tools, okay skill, okay skating, but overall he just kind of put the whole package together and would produce that way. The only problem is that his first half was significantly better than his second half, and his playoff for a player his age in that league at his size was fine, even if he was one of the top players in scoring for the WHL. At 91, they went out and drafted Leason's line mate Alexei Protas, and I'm not super certain I really like this pick a whole lot. Protas never blew me away. He had some flashes with some nice skill, decent shot, but overall on a very talented team, he just didn't really stick out a whole lot to me. Obviously anything can happen, but I think that in the third round there were better swings the Capitals could have taken. Then at 153, they took a player who I know has his fans out there, Hugo Haas. I'm an analytics-based person, and he didn't really stand out to me in any way, and every time I watched him play, he certainly has interesting offensive tools and a great shot from the point, but I'm really not sure where he goes from here. But I will say at the same time that I didn't particularly like Washington taking Martin Fehervary last year, and I look at that pick now and think that that's an interesting value pick for Washington. So even if Haas just turns into a defensive defenseman with a decent shot from the point in the NHL one day, this pick might be pretty good, and at 153rd, it's not the worst swing they could have taken at all. And that's it. That's all they did. If you've watched Scouching reports before, we're taking the same rating system and porting it over to these videos. Now, the number's going to indicate the overall potential I see out of the group as a whole, and the letter's going to indicate the likelihood of that group reaching that potential. And for Washington, there really isn't much to say. I think they get a strong 3B. Now, there's not a whole lot of upside with these guys. I don't think Connor McMichael's going to be a juggernaut top 6 center, or at least it's not likely he will be that, but I do think he will be a good NHL contributor, whether it's at the center position or the wing. Brett Leason could be your fourth line guy as soon as the year after this one, so if you get that at 56, that's a decent pickup, and I do think he has NHL projectability with his game. Protas and Haas, we'll see. I honestly don't know. I'm not super optimistic with either of these players, but I've obviously been wrong before, and we'll see what happens with them. But I think the Capitals made a number of low ceiling, high floor bets here. So that's it for the Washington Capitals recap. Our next subjects will be the Nashville Predators. If you liked the video, click all the buttons you see below me so you never miss another one. If you really liked it, you could support us on Patreon, where you get access to spreadsheets for drafted and undrafted prospects, discounts on merchandise, private chat rooms, and plenty of other goodies. Or you could pick up some merchandise from the Scouchwear shop. All the links are in the description below. So that's it for this one, and I hope you'll join me where we break down the Nashville Predators.